the weather early on in this week in the build up to the start of the competition has been very much a part of the story. Here is the official forecast right now for today. Mostly cloudy with a slight chance of showers, 70% chance of showers and thunderstorms after midnight. It is through the overnight hours where this front will be coming through. A low of 63 and high of 82 today. Winds south-southeast at a gentle 17 to 15 miles per hour, and that is a relative speed. On Thursday, mostly cloudy with a 90% chance of showers and thunderstorms, windy. Forecast rainfall 1 to 1.5 inches, gusts. Now, look at this. Please note, because this is different than what we discussed yesterday. Gusts upwards to 40 to 45 miles per hour between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. The fillet of the first round tomorrow, 40 to 45 miles per hour. Note, the low of 65, a high of 77, winds south, shifting to southwest. The sustained winds are 15 to 25 miles per hour, but then you've got those gusts that they're talking about being so very, very high. And then on Friday, mostly sunny. It's still windy in the forecast. Noticeably less humid. Thank you for that. High of 73, but the winds are completely shifting to northwest. Again, 15 to 20 miles per hour sustained with gusts over 30. That's just the first 2 days. Talk about setting up for watching car wrecks everywhere, right? And then Saturday and Sunday, Saturday mostly sunny and warm, high of 78, winds west-northwest turning west at 7 to 15 miles per hour. And Sunday, mostly sunny and warm, high of 83, winds west turning southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So it's interesting on so many different levels, one of which is they're practicing to play a golf course that is not going to play nearly the same during the opening 2 rounds of the tournament proper because of the strength of those winds and the direction of those winds combined. However, Dom, you said you were taking a closer look at this before we went on the air in terms of the hour-by-hour forecasts, and in your opinion, when you really dial into the details of this forecast, it's even more ominous than the scary forecast that I just read.
Yes to all of that, Matt. I'm trying to do math on the fly here. 0.2, 0.1. Hold on a second. I'll go over this in a second. But to give you a sense of, I think that those rain numbers that we looked up on the screen there that said 1 to 1.5 inches of rain, I think
Yes.
that is very conservative based on the information that I have. I think they're going to get well over 2 inches of rain. And the forecast I have says they're going to have well over an inch of rain full stop from probably about 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning on Thursday, just in that time period. Now, I'll give you a total rainfall that I have at my disposal in a moment here when I do the math. But essentially, the rain is going to begin at 1 a.m. I'm going to go over this quickly, Matt, and then I want you to just comment on how you think in general with this updated information that we have. What are we looking at for play on Thursday? How could this possibly impact play? Rain starts on Wednesday, overnight, Wednesday into Thursday. 1 a.m. is going to start raining. Heavy rain. 5 a.m. More than a half an inch of rain is going to fall in a 45-minute period at 5 in the morning. 6 a.m. rain, more rain. This is all 100% chance of rain. This isn't like, oh, I wonder if it's going to rain or not. 100%, all the way through. The only lightning I see in the forecast is between 8 and 9 in the morning, which ironically is right around. Andrew, put the tee times out, but the tee times are out. We'll talk about this. But the first tee time is, I believe, at 8 a.m., right in the peak of all this rain. Also, in addition to being at the peak of the rain, that's when the lightning's potentially going to be happening. So I think at the bare minimum, Matt, we're looking at a delayed start.
It's 7:40 a.m. We have Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, and Gary Player hitting the ceremonial tee shot. That's what's scheduled. So there is just before that, which again, all of this is in the worst of it.
Correct. So it's going to continue to rain all the way through up until around noontime. I have the rain basically coming to a full stop. And, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I mean, we're looking at 20% chance of rain. So the afternoon is likely going to clear up, assuming they can get the course up to par for play with all that with all that rain getting dumped on it. So I would anticipate, Matt, and I'd like your comment, that the morning groups probably wouldn't get to tee off until noon, and the afternoon groups might not tee off at all. What say you?
Do you have, and that forecast, can you dial in for me what the wind speeds will be hour by hour? At least the gusts too,
Yeah,
if
the
you
wind
have it.
sucks. It's yes, I do. It sucks. It's awful. Um, at 8:30 in the morning, it's 100% chance of rain. A quarter inch of rain is falling. Lightning is going, and 45-mile-per-hour gusts of wind. I mean, that's like tropical storm for like an hour and a half. That's brutal. That's insane. The sustained gust throughout this rain period is basically 15 miles per hour, and the gusting is going to be getting over 30 miles per hour. In the afternoon, when it's supposedly stopped raining, the gusts are actually going to increasingly get worse as the evening goes on. So let's say they don't tee off until 1:30, right? The gusts are 27 miles per hour at that time with sustained winds around 15. But at 4:30 at 5 p.m., the sustained winds are up to 18 miles per hour and the gusts are up to 36 miles per hour at that time. So that's wild. And the gusts are over 30 up until it gets dark. 35, 36, 38 miles per hour. I mean, that's crazy. So why don't you comment? I'm going to add up the rain totals I have, and I'm going to give you
Okay.
a total rainfall that I have. Go ahead.
The When Bob Jones and Dr. Alistair Mackenzie designed this golf course, they wanted it to be, in essence, an inland links, an homage to the old course at St. Andrews. The difference is that when you play traditional links golf courses, while there is movement on the greens, obviously, there's some undulations, it's very subtle in terms of its undulations. And generally, on a links golf course where the green speeds are slower, say for a championship speed, it might be rolling at a 10, maybe a 10 and a half if they're really bold. And the reason why they're doing that is because of the fact that it is seaside and it's subject to powerful winds. Well, those powerful winds, when you get up to in that setting that I just described for you, that setting is one where if winds get to speeds of 35 miles per hour, they will cause the golf ball to move. And whether you call that oscillation or whether it can't hold on a slope, it causes the golf ball to move and it would cause a suspension of play. Now, obviously, a wet green is going to be a little bit slower in terms of its speed. Paul Eels just sent me, by the way, Dom, a message from London today, or from outside of Liverpool today, sorry. And he said, "What are you in a prison?" No, I'm down. Clearly on the road. That's how it goes. Everything is old and with lots of bricks surrounding. I think it's kind of cool looking, actually. It reminds me of the feature that we ran the other day about the old Confederate powder works and all the bricks that they use in a 2-mile long facility for making gunpowder during the Civil War. But so you're talking about on relatively slow by comparison and flatter greens, 35 miles per hour is the demarcation where you're going to get at least oscillation, if not flat out movement of the golf ball, and play as a result has to be suspended. We've seen it multiple times. The aforementioned old course, we saw it in 10 and we saw it in 15, both of which had to be suspended just because of wind. Now, in this case, we have conspiracy with rain and with lightning that goes along with it. Again, I'm not as concerned about standing water as a long-term being in terms of a matter of hours or washing out an entire day at Augusta National because of their drainage engineering, because of how sharp the hills and the slopes are on the property, that everything drains down to the tributaries of Rays Creek. So that doesn't concern me as much. It is a concern in the moment, though, because there's only so much you can do to cause. It's like turning your faucets on really hard, and your sink starts to fill up with water, regardless of the fact that the water is still draining at the bottom of the bowl. There's going to be some of that going on. You're going to, particularly in the bunkers, that can happen. Different low-lying areas in the greens, that's going to happen. The sub-air systems that they have and the technology can whisk all that away, but it only can do so much to a deluge coming down from Mother Nature. So my opinion, based upon the information that you've given me right now, Dom, my opinion is that this Masters will not start on time. I think it's going to be delayed. I think in the latter part of the morning into the middle part of the afternoon, I do think we're going to see play. I think players are going to be playing through the rain. It's a golf course that, regardless of what they do with the sub-air, the top of the turf is going to be soft. So they're going to be firing at these pins. You're going to see some better scores made than maybe you traditionally would at the Masters. So if it were not as wet as it is definitely 100% going to be, the storms coming through the night. So it'll be a restless night for all of us as these storms come ripping through the region. No doubt about that, not to mention the restlessness of the players preparing to go out. I think as they get back into the afternoon and those wind speeds get up to the vicinity that you were talking about, I think there's a very real possibility that there will be a suspension of play until those winds mitigate somewhat. There isn't too much that they can do on Friday in terms of expanding the window because of where they're starting. They could pick up another hour if they wanted to. There are other things they could do in extreme circumstance, like sending them off of 1 and 10, but I don't see that happening. I think tomorrow, Friday, is going to. I could see them playing on Friday, although some of those wind gusts are borderline too, with moving the golf ball on those very undulating greens of Augusta National. But we'll see how it plays itself out. But I definitely think, based upon what we have heard, based upon the current forecast, and remember the forecast that I gave you before Dom started to dial into the nitty gritty, the forecast I gave you is the official forecast. And it's already extremely ominous and frightening. So I think we're going to see an impact on the start of the Masters. Unfortunate for the Augusta National members that, the table is fully set and then something of this severity comes ripping through. So we'll see how it plays itself out. Now,
I'm afraid to give you the rain totals I have, Matt.
What did you have? Oh yeah, I forgot you were adding those up. Go ahead.
I don't know if I want to share them. They're very bad.
Go ahead. We can take it.
According to this, if the rain falls, we're looking at 3 inches of rain over the course of the entire day, not at one time, but that is a lot of rain. It's too much. Yeah. It's too much rain.
I think that there's only so much that the all powerful can do to try to mitigate that. The course is going to be wet.
So do you
think, going to be soft.
To wrap a bow around the weather, because there's a lot of other things I know we want to talk about. Do you think that the afternoon groups, what do you think the likelihood is that they get to hit a tee shot on Thursday?
Well, I'd start with the morning groups, and I would put it at near zero.
Well, the morning groups will play some golf. I'm saying, like, Andrew, what's the last
I don't think they will.
2 something?
I don't think they will in the morning. I think the morning groups, that because there's going to be, based on their forecast, lightning in the area, I don't think there'll be any play at 8 a.m. I think the first time you're going to see play in earnest tomorrow, based upon what you said, Dom, is going to be no earlier than about 9:30 tomorrow morning. And then you're starting the people at 8 o'clock. So they're already going to be.
I don't think they hit a golf shot until. I don't think they're going to hit a golf shot till 11 o'clock. That's what I think.
And you're saying that because of the amount of rain and not just the lightning.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it's going to be. I think if it's absolutely pouring and it's blowing 35 miles per hour, how can they go out?
Well, again, if the ball's not moving on the green and there's not standing water, they're going to go out. But I believe that when it comes down that heavy, there's going to be standing water. And I think if the wind is as high as they're saying, it has a potential of moving the ball on these greens. So the combination. So let's split the difference and say they go out.
Like that are teeing off at like 12:24 or 12:12. Like they're going to get delayed 4 hours or 5 hours and not even be able to tee off.
Well, I think they're going to get delayed at least 2 hours, and they could be delayed as much as 3 hours if you're correct with what you're saying. So you just slide that whole schedule. But the problem is that you can't just slide the schedule and then bang it out as late as you can into the evening, because I believe that those winds that are coming in on Thursday afternoon, that's when they're talking about wind gusts getting up to 40 plus 45 miles per hour, and that's on the official forecast, which, as you say, is more conservative. So I think it's
This is
going to
going
have
to be wild.
a massive impact. So anyway, let's see
Wow.
how that ultimately plays itself out.